BSSS Rhythm, BSSS Rhythm, BSSS Rhythm.
Very good morning to all of you, and I'm so happy to have with me Professor C.B. Sharma from the Department of Education at Indira Gandhi National Open University. Thank you so much, sir.
My privilege. Thank you so much for having me here.
So the last 2 years have been pandemic induced, and it was a catastrophe on this world, entire world. Where do you see education going post-pandemic?
See, for times immemorial, education has been the same. What is education about? Education is about transferring knowledge and experience from the learned to the less learned or the novice. So the teacher has to be center stage. Technology only is a carrier. It will only carry the message of the teacher. So I believe because of the pandemic and the last 2 years, when we have found teachers sitting at home and teaching, people have started believing that technology is teaching. That's not true. The teacher teaches. So I don't think the exact dynamics of education is going to change. The teacher, the taught, and the relationship between the two is going to be the same. The method may change. You will remember we had the Gurukul system where there was teacher and a few students. Then we had the classroom where teacher and a large number of students. The teacher did not know who he or she is talking to. Perhaps it's going to be more like that now. I won't know who is going to hear my interview or my lecture. Somebody in Africa or a very different culture. But the content that the teacher would disseminate will be important, and that has always been important. So rest assured, teacher will be center stage.
That's so nice to hear. Like, we just need to change the pedagogy of teaching online, and teachers are not going to be obsolete even the post-pandemic scenario when we get it to the blended mode as well. So don't you see any challenges or fallout of online system of education?
See, now that the classroom has been wide open, right, in the sense that anybody can teach and anybody can learn from anywhere, a few things will change. Like in education, we have insisted that you must have a B.Ed to teach. Who cares? If somebody teaches well and I can learn from that person, I will perhaps learn from him or her instead of ask whether you have M.Ed, you have B.Ed, you are a master's or a PhD. So the learning will count. 1, 2, it's no more local, it's global.
Right.
So I don't care whether my teacher is in Bhopal or Delhi or in my town or any other town. Teacher may be in US, and if he or she is able to teach me well, I'll sit at his or her foot and learn from him or her.
Yeah, that's the biggest blessing in disguise we have discovered through this pandemic, maybe. Because the dissemination knowledge has become wider and the scope has become wider. So my next question to you, sir, how do you see this digital divide then? Do you see that are we able to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots through this kind of education?
Very good question. I think we have been answering the question of digital divide for a long time. When we talk of digital divide, we talk only of the hardware divide. Some people, some children, some learners have access to good machines, good network, connectivity, and perhaps we consider them to be privileged. It's true, technology changes every 6 months, and to be at the cutting edge, you have to have the best machine, the fastest connectivity. But I look at this in a different manner now. See, what has pandemic done? The teacher is no more local. So there would be two divides. One would be those who have good connectivity and good machines.
Right.
That means every 6 months you have a new machine who has the money to buy it. Definitely those who are rich and the affluent. And also connectivity. What happens to those who are not in good towns or big towns where there is good connectivity? But I'm not much worried about that. What I'm worried about is during pandemic, we have been lecturing online for peanuts, for no remuneration. But teachers have now realized that students come to a particular platform for a particular teacher. Once somebody has heard you and realize, oh, she lectures so well, he or she will wait for you. Now, slowly you won't have time to lecture every day, so you will start charging. Don't forget, it's no more local. So, perhaps if I find a teacher sitting 5,000 kilometers away who is a very good teacher, I'll be ready to pay. Who will pay that? Only those who have the money, those who are affluent, those who are rich. So now the digital divide is double. Those who are rich will have access to good machines, good connectivity, and good teachers. Good teachers. Again, I will say, machine doesn't count. The teacher will count. And these teachers will be charging exorbitantly because they would be the best. I think A.W. Bates said, 1980s, in the 21st centuries, the most seen faces on the television would be the teachers, and the highest taxpayers would be the teachers because they would be earning the most. We must realize this. Your lectures, good lectures, are going to be very, very expensive.
Right. Hope that day is not far away. That is why maybe I see you more on television these days. So that's so well answered, because our thought process was only digital divide, meaning the hardware divide. But it could be the other way around as well.
It has to be the
Yes.
other way around. Because see, the quota industry is losing. There are not many students in quota anymore. They are all sitting at homes and learning from teachers from all over the country, paying online. It is no more 1970 or 2000. It's 2022.
So online education definitely has its many merits, like you said. Like, you can reach out to a larger audience. This is the biggest merit which I see. But what, as a teacher, what I felt during my online education was, we don't know what the student on the other side is actually doing. You may be at your best, putting in a lot of energy, using good pedagogies, but the student on the other side may be muted, may be,
May not be there.
May not be there, exactly. So how do you assess this situation?
That is going to happen. See, in the name of autonomy of the learners, learner-centric, we have done all this. So, those who are serious will do better.
Right.
That means they will put efforts and learn more. But the related question is that the teacher from whom we will be learning, who will be popular, may not be teaching the content we want. In education, we must realize content is the king.
Right.
Now,
Absolutely.
why do we have debates about the national curriculum every time? Why do we react on one single line in a textbook every time? Why did we not accept the British textbook that we had a legacy of? Because we wanted to teach our children. We are a great nation. We had a great tradition. Now, if you have a teacher who is not from your culture, your country, your background, perhaps would be teaching something which is from his or her background, what are your students going to say, feel, believe 15 years down the line? So, be careful about content. It's first about technology, then about teachers, and the content they transact. Who will control that? Nobody can now. With the World Trade Agreement on cross-border education, we cannot stop anybody. So, perhaps what the teacher would be teaching and the learner wants to learn is free.
So the choice always is with the learner, and that's how the autonomy of learning happens. Let's shift our focus from this aspect to probably national education policy, which has just come through. What is your take on it?
See, it's a very progressive policy. It's a very good policy. However, there can be debates about it in the sense that this policy is in the form of government order. Compare it to previous policies. You will find well-written stories, analysis, and then recommendation. This policy has direct recommendations, very appropriate for our country. If they are implemented well by those who are stakeholders, I am confident 15 years we'll have a very robust education system. What I am worried about is, because it doesn't explain everything, if it is left to the administrators, the officers, the bureaucrats to implement it, I don't think it will make an impact. Very well written document, very well conceived ideas, but what I believe is it should be left to the academics, the teachers, the stakeholders to implement it in letter and spirit. There are chances of this document being misinterpreted. I'll give you an example. We have said in the document, I've been part of this, the writing of this policy. We have said that teachers must assess themselves and get assessed so that they know how they are progressing in professional life. Now, the National Council for Teacher Education has come up with a document on National Professional Standard for Teacher, which is a very, very poor document. We should not call it a government document. It's a document of the NCT, and NCT has no academic background. It doesn't have that. So what I'm worried about, policy is very good. It has very good ideas in it. If they are implemented in letter and spirit, we'll have a very different country 20, 35, 40. But if it is not, then it can be dangerous as well.
So let's be optimistic about it. Probably the stakeholders will take it forward, and we just need a turning of mind, top-down approach so that it gets executed like you said.
देखिए, हम तो भारतीय हैं और हम भविष्य में भगवान में विश्वास रखने वाले देश हैं, तो हम सब छोड़ते हैं भगवान पर, भगवान अच्छा करेगा.
बिल्कुल. सर, आप क्वालिटी ऑफ लर्नर्स पे क्या बोलेंगे? जैसे आपने पहले भी बताया. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, लाइक इज द स्टैंडर्ड डिग्रेडिंग in education, or is it going up from the earlier times?
We always believe past was better, right? But I don't think so. How is it that we are doing better research, coming up with new findings? One nation may not be doing well. India may not be doing very well, that we can say, but globally don't think that students are weaker or poorer, or they are not putting in enough effort. Students or that age group always puts in the best effort. They look forward to, they want to grow, they want to progress. So I think the next generation is always brighter, and our next generation is also brighter than us. So we must give them the credit. Past was not always the best, let's not say that.
So when it comes from a seasoned academician like you, it means a lot, and I think it has a huge takeaway for all our viewers also. Let's be optimistic. Yes, we are putting our best, and we will still do our best. So any message for our college in particular? How do we take things forward? Like, this is Amrit Kal of India. So if we have to plan for next 25 years, what should be our strategic approach? We are one of the best colleges and all.
I know that. Yes. I mean, thank you very much for inviting me to this college, and I talked to people, my friends, everybody in Bhopal, and they said it's the best college, and everybody wants to be in this college. What I would say is that not only teaching, we must involve in planning, and that is our weak point. Colleges, college teachers, even college administration does not plan the future, react on it, critique policies. We think that's not our job. That's not so. Especially because your college is a good college, you have good students, you understand education, you must work on what should be the future form of education, content of education, process of education. Look, we must be putting pressure. We must become pressure group, in the sense we understand education. As a good institution in Bhopal, you understand what is education. The policies may not be good, right? So I believe, and that is the reason nobody writes our ACR, right? For time immemorial, nobody writes our teachers' ACR. We are independent. We must say what we believe. Let there be debate. Our ideas may not be acceptable. So what I believe, for a college like yours, not exactly for a new college or which has no experience, you must work on planning future of education. और ये तो आपने ही कहा कि अमृत काल है, अगले 25 साल में हमको दुनिया में श्रेष्ठ देश बनना है, उसके लिए हमको अच्छा प्लानिंग करना होगा. आप एक अच्छी संस्था हैं, अच्छा काम किए हैं, शिक्षा कैसी हो, किनके लिए हो, क्या प्रोसेस हो, बिना बायसेस के, कैसे सनातनी शिक्षा हो, इस पर काम करना चाहिए.
Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time. It was a pleasure having you. And when you said on the planning and other things, I would like to reiterate the fact that yes, we do invest a lot in planning, and we see to it that of sage words of yours is taken from here. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. Thank you. It's entirely my privilege.
BSSS Rhythm. BSSS Rhythm. BSSS Rhythm.